Hey guys, welcome. Today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite, a little bit obscure uses of my favorite CA glue. Let's go. Okay, so what is CA glue? It's essentially super glue. Now the CA comes from cyanoacrylate, which is what it is essentially scientifically, but it's a very fast bonding glue that typically has an accelerator that comes with it. I'm gonna be using Starbond on these projects here, and I've been an affiliate of Starbond for a long time, so if you wanna save yourself some cash on this, I am gonna have coupon codes down below. Save yourself about 15%. So, and by the way, my two favorite viscosities are this medium thick and medium, the blue and green bottles respectively. I love these two, and but of course they have thin, thick, they have multiple colors, all kinds of good stuff. Go ahead and check them out. They're gonna be linked down below too. So without further ado, let's get into this, and I'm gonna show you how I use this stuff more as a tool than say an adhesive. All right.
The first use, an extra set of hands. So I'm in the process of decking out a shed to be a home office. Essentially, I'm moving all of my shipping supplies in here. And I found that some of the corners, well, there was only one stud I was able to attach. So I had to join the corners of these plywood walls together with a 90-degree bracket. And trying to do so just by hand like this just never works out well. So check this out. So the reoccurring theme here might be that I use this as a tool. Essentially, this is a extra set of hands. Gonna put a couple of dabs here on the back side of this 90-degree clamp bracket, which make good gifts, by the way, for makers. I'm simply gonna put some activator as well on the corner and then put it in, and you're good to go.
So you can see behind me, I've used the CA glue and activator just to hold those brackets in place, keeping both hands now freed up to use one screw, one drill, easy as pie. No joke. Might be my favorite method of using Starbond.
So during this clip, I'm listening to music on a Bluetooth speaker that's actually shaking the camera. Crazy. But you see there how it just is in place, and doing this without CA glue is a pain, especially doing this kind of thing over your head. The process is simple, extra set of hands, and then, oh man, it makes it so much easier. Use number two, we're gonna fill some gaps but in tough spots. So I'm working on a cedar slab here. I'm taking care of some of the imperfections in the sapwood, and you could fill knots and cracks with CA glue all day like this, but here's the challenge. The tough spot is I gotta orient the board upwards vertically and then flood the surface with some CA glue and then use the activator to catalyze it. Harden it up, lather, rinse, repeat. Now, I should have used the black stuff they offer, but I didn't, and well, I think that would have been a more attractive look. Either way, the properties are gonna be the same. Lather, rinse, repeat. And then this is not gonna take you all day. In fact, this process only took me about 10 or 15 minutes. That's the beauty of the activator, and the fact that it just hardens up so quickly. You're able to then get a nice built-up layer of CA glue. Again, you can see here the black would have been a little bit better. But here's the thing. Take a little paper towel and wipe it on, giving yourself a pretty cool little finish. I like it. Now, I'm not sure when this slab is gonna make it to a video. It's actually, well, it's just sitting in the corner of my shop, and I need to do something with it. That last technique brings us to our third use, applying a finish.
So with that being said, you saw me there wiping the glue over that knot that's been, stabilized by the glue. So what that does is kind of create like a finish, but you can really use this as a legitimate finish when turning pins. We've done it here in this video years ago. Who is that guy? I was in Skiatook, Oklahoma back in 2017. Made that video with my buddy Moy. That first time, like I said, this guy, come here, man. This guy right here, Moy, hooked me up, was giving me the experience of doing this for the first time. Thank you guys so much for watching. God, this was awesome. Moy, how you doing, man? And so I'm gonna link that video below. You're gonna see how we use CA glue to put a nice protective shell on that pin. And honestly, I'm sorry, I don't know where that pin is. I think I lost it over the years. But either way, I'm gonna show you a couple pictures too. My friend Gary, he used to work with Gary years ago. He is a master turner, and he also makes beautiful woodworking projects. You can see some of his pins he's done here, and he's used CA glue finish as well. Pretty unique process where you basically flood it on with a paper towel, let it spin, and let it cure, and it it's a beautiful process. So there are videos about that. If you want to just check that out, search CA glue finish on pens, something to look into. But I do want to tell you also one more thing about this product. It does come with 2 individual nozzles and multiple applicators for getting CA glue into very fine areas. Now they make this in small batches. It comes to you in this container here, really easy to use the bottle, but the 2 applicators is a thoughtful thing to do because it's gonna gunk up. Let's just be honest, okay? So Starbond knows that, thinks of that, and gives you 2 applicators to help you get the most out of this bottle. All right, moving on.
Yep, it's the blue tape trick.
Let's just get this one out of the way. The blue tape trick is pretty much ubiquitous all over this maker community, but I'm gonna show it to you here. And honestly, once these pieces are together, you can use this for whatever you want. If you need to route a flat edge on reference to another flat edge, you can do that. You wanna place it down on a CNC and have it carve, you can do that as well. This is kind of all over and documented so much. And it comes apart pretty easily, but the amount of strength it has in terms of it coming apart this way, the shear strength is pretty strong.
Look, it takes the place of double-sided tape. If you're gonna use double-sided tape in woodworking, do this instead.
So now that with the ats out of the way, we're gonna go ahead and explore some different options.
Another one of my favorites, using CA glue as a clamp. Okay, so I've got 2 examples here with 1/2-inch plywood. I'm gonna flood the surface in the middle on both. I'm gonna put 4 corners of CA glue on one and then go ahead and flood the border around with the other, encasing the wood glue completely. You might be thinking, why are you doing it 2 different ways? Well, I want to show you that after a couple of hours, the wood glue is so bonded to the plywood that only the plywood veneers basically delaminate. The wood glue has no problem at all. Everything is just as sticky as possible. And even in the one with the CA glue all surrounding it, was the hold much better? Well, I'm not really sure, but that's not why I tried it. I'm gonna explain why I tried it here.
Okay, so let me explain why I did this test. It worked flawlessly in both aspects. The reason I did this test is because years ago, I was using, I don't even know what CA glue it was, but what I did was I did exactly this. I put the glue completely around the perimeter and then put the wood glue inside. And what had happened was the glue never had a chance to cure.
Essentially, 2 days later, the pieces came apart and the wood glue inside was still wet.
It was almost like you poured glue back into a sealed bottle. Essentially, with the CA glue being around, it sealed it up. Not the case with this one. This is actually good to know. So, hey, Starbond, kudos to you. You can do the 4-dot method or the surrounding method. And honestly, probably somewhere in between is probably the sweet spot. Although this test proves you can do whatever you want. So it looks like the glue was actually able to breathe in whatever air, oxygen it needed to catalyze and harden up. If I'm even using the right terms, I don't know. But this experiment worked on both aspects and I'm glad it did.
This one's pretty cool too. It's making a quick and dirty mold for your epoxy pours. Okay, I've pre-cut 5 pieces of 1/2-inch plywood, basically a back, a side, a front, and another side, and a bottom. I'm gonna layer Tyvek tape on one surface of all of these 5 pieces. You'll see here, I'll just trim them here at the cutting mat. Pretty easy process to do. Then, now that I've got all the pieces in place, I'm gonna take some of the CA glue, and yeah, you guessed it, I'm gonna build basically a box. Pretty simple. Now, Tyvek tape, really nothing sticks to it all that well, so you gotta be careful here. This bond with the activator is somewhat pretty strong. As you can see, I'm holding it, but I will say this, I do want to come back with some type of mechanical fastener. You don't want any chance of this thing busting at the seams. This is basically a means just to kind of get it in place for you. And then I come back with a brad nailer, real simply, don't need too many of them, just one at each side, and you're good to go. Now, here's the tricky part. Well, it's not tricky, it's actually pretty cool. You take the CA glue, and you use it like caulk. You just sit there and basically flood the corners, activate it, and it makes a watertight seal. Now, you're thinking, how do you know? Let's test it. So, in my efforts of transparency here, it's a water joke. Is there even such a thing as a water joke? Either way. All right, here we go. So I poured some water into this box, and we're looking around the edge to see what happens. But I'm also going to take my phone here, and we're going to do a timer for 10 minutes, right? Yep, there we go. All right, all finished. And I'm going to go ahead and just test it. Look at it again, take the camera off the tripod, same cut, Not gonna do any jump cuts here. And everything is still bone dry. Check that out. Love it.
So I know that timer said 10 minutes, but it's been like over an hour at this point. And there's nothing leaking out of this whatsoever. So where's the benefit in using this instead of caulk? Well, one, it's kind of an all-around tool. And yes, glue can be a tool. And I've always said that about Starbond. And the deal is that you could put this as a adhesive that joins it together. Yes, I do recommend screws or brad nails to kind of mechanically fasten it as well. But then you don't have to wait on the drying time of caulk. You can do this, activate it, have it be sealed within about a minute or two, and you're ready to pour. So that's one of the benefits too. I'm gonna go get rid of this water. All right, so those are some tips and tricks and methods that I use CA Glue. Again, I've been an affiliate with them for a long time. If you want to save yourself some cash, all the links are down below. Thanks for joining me, guys, for this one. This was a fun one to put together, and I hadn't done anything like this in a long time. And I said I was about a year ago and got some good responses, but finally it's here, and here are some of my favorite uses for CA Glue. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next video. Until then, y'all take care. See ya.